Thank you for tuning in to Station 7 of the Wizarding Wireless Network. Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all witches, wizards and muggles alike. Thank you for tuning in to Station 7 of the Wizarding Wireless Network, just to hear this old bloke's midlife crisis unfold in the wonderful wizarding world. I hope all of you are doing well as you can possibly be, and thank you for choosing to spend a bit of time listening to me drone on about the works of J.K. Rowling. I have, over the course of about 4 days, wrapped up, started and completed reading Book 3, which is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I I'll go through the whole series, book by book. I refuse to, for the most part, I refuse to skip books when I make the choice to do the story, but where it really starts to get to the nitty-gritty is the third book. That's where the most entertaining bits come, and there have been times, a few occasions, where I just start from the third and go to the seventh. But I've read the first and second book again for the 20-something time, maybe even 30-something. I've lost count. I don't. I'm certainly not a practitioner of moderation when it comes to my. There's probably no better word for it. I pretty much binge on these books and occasionally supplement it with movies. However, that's neither here nor there. I apologise, I do digress a lot. I'm reminded at this point, one of the strongest feelings that I'm left with is Snape's extraordinary pettiness and rage and pure vitriolic hatred. His whole self becomes rather unhinged when he loses his opportunity for absolute revenge. But what also gets showcased in this book, what really gets underscored, is Snape's singular hatred towards Gryffindor, and animosity to Harry. Of course, he's got a lot of animosity towards Remus Lupin, but all of them really, Hermione, Ron, Neville, he bullies Neville in the worst way, and what really shocks me is that he probably has a very good idea of what has happened at this point to Neville's parents, having had the history and the interactions that he's had throughout the course of his career, working not only at Hogwarts but as a member of the Order of the Phoenix and under Dumbledore's supervision. You know, they're rather close, much to the chagrin of other people. For most intents and purposes, he seems to be Albus Dumbledore's prime lieutenant, and being a lieutenant, he's probably privy to a lot more of the goings-on, as a spy both ways, but that, I'm sorry, I digress too much, but his pettiness and his vindictiveness are underscored in this book, and it really brings me back to when I first read the book. I swear Dumbledore drove me crazy. I remember how I felt. There was absolutely no redeeming value whatsoever in Snape when I first read the books. I was vicariously on behalf of Harry, the Golden Trio, the Gryffindors, And all of the good wizards, the conduct of Snape drove me absolutely mad. He was such a contradiction, and I was absolutely frustrated reading time and again of his antics, his horrible, relentless bullying of Harry, who's really, the poor guy has had absolutely nobody as a parent figure in his life that did not manage to get killed or destroyed. The closest he ever really gets is Molly and Arthur Weasley, which are not poor substitutes, but he can't spend all of his time away from school with them. He has to go to the bleeding Dursleys every summer, at least for the beginning, and he's always there for the better part of the holiday. So it's it's a hell of a way to spend a summer vacation, you know. It's not ideal in any way, and of course there's always, every summer starts off with a miserable adventure, and they really do tend to get worse and worse for Harry. I'm sorry, I'm digressing some more, but the antics of not only Snape, but Draco and Crabbe and Goyle, uh, well, their participation in things is quite minimal. They don't really do a lot of talking, really. But Draco and his behaviour is absolutely reprehensible and disgusting. I absolutely loathe those characters pretty much throughout the whole book. I don't see, even at the very end, when it comes to Snape, and oh my god, I know there's a lot of proud Slytherins that have a very romanticised view of not only Snape but Draco, probably because he's a bit of a pretty boy. And the Death Eaters, they like that concept of being badasses. You know, they like the concept of being into the dark arts and wielding a hell of a lot of power. And I think that's what draws the Slytherins in. And being a Gryffindor, and I know I'm a Gryffindor, I've taken the test so many times, even my principal personality test, I am an INFP. It's it's the first trait of a Gryffindor. It's a constant butting of heads with the sort of philosophy and ideology and behaviour patterns of a true Slytherin. And I know, and you know, that the Bakey, her channel, I know she's a proud Slytherin, and she really is terribly entertaining to watch. I love her channel and just about every show she puts forth. I've got no animosity towards her. I've really got no animosity towards people in general who are proud Slytherins, but I can say from my experience online, when things would get a bit political, especially in the United States, the Slytherins in the United States, I'm so sorry, but they by and large are the worst behaved. I prefer, I prefer by and large the behaviour patterns of the Slytherins that may be across the pond. I don't know why, but the ones that I've come into contact with, they're very much, oh, there's no way to sugarcoat it. They're very much behind the Donald Trump bandwagon, and they just absolutely love just about everything he has to say when he opens up the hole in his face, and I won't really dwell on that. But I do know, for the most part, especially as far as the books go, the desire for power and manipulation, you know, power is not just the honing of your skills as a wizard, as far as the wizarding world goes. It's about political power. It's about manipulation, exploitation, the acquisition of wealth, that sort of thing. And it goes, the lust for that. It makes it terribly difficult for me to say, why, yeah, the world needs more of those sorts of people. To be honest, if I'm going to use my basic philosophy of the proverbial best of the best of us, it's likely to be the Hufflepuffs. They work together, they get things done, they build the city, they build the village, to which everyone seems to enjoy. Hogsmeade weekends, when they're permitted to go there. Things of that nature, really. I really do think the Hufflepuffs are the ones that deserve a lot more recognition than they get. And I do know that Gryffindors and Slytherins are sort of glory hound in their own right. I do know that the Slytherins are very self-centered by the very nature of their philosophy, and the Gryffindors are sort of thrill seekers and risk takers, which really doesn't. I have to say that my courage stems chiefly from defending those that I love and the principles that I hold. So the sort of championing that I would have would be a bit more of the Hermione slash Neville Longbottom sort, I think. But I'll digress a bit. I've just read. Wrapped up reading The Prisoner of Azkaban, and it's a very, very emotionally draining, challenging book to read because a lot of stuff happens. You see this happy future for Harry snuffed out by injustice, but it opens up the story further for future adventure and the great story that unfolds, and it's a fantastic piece of literature. I absolutely love it. But after going through all the books where I go through this deep struggle to where I understand Snape to a fashion, Snape was a broken, severely damaged man. He really was. He was totally heartbroken. He led a horrible life, trusted the wrong people, made some terrible mistakes, but he never really seemed to learn the important lessons early. And of course it gives us a great story, and it's very compelling, which is what any good story is, really. But I do think that he was an absolute bastard, and I know that's a horrible word, but he was. I can't quantify Snape totally as an absolute hero, because were it not for Snape's actions, Snape set all of this in motion when he shared Trelawney's prophecy to Voldemort. He absolutely set things in motion that devastated him, ruined, well, to some fashion, well, ultimately it ruined his life. When you look at the butterfly effect, or the ripples, I shouldn't say butterfly effect, but when you look at the ripples of his actions, he did save the day, so he deserves recognition for that. But he also set everything in motion, and the place where you need to go to understand that was his upbringing and his broken home childhood. He did not have that organic love. He had that very possessive sort of love. and it was his undoing and the undoing of Lily Potter. Well, I think I should like to, well, I guess I'll wrap it up for now. I don't need to make an extraordinarily lengthy video, or I should say more of a podcast for lack of a better word. So that about wraps it up for now. I bid all of you fair wind and fair fortune, and I truly thank all of you for taking precious time out of your day to listen to me share my thoughts on one of my two favourite series ever written. And until we meet again, friends, fair winds.